Welcome back to 123 Conversations, or welcome if this is the first episode of our show that you're seeing. I am one of your co-hosts, Candace Thomas, and I'm an intuitive coach, which is just a fancy pants way of saying I teach people how to use their own intuition on purpose to create results for themselves, their clients, and their communities. And I'm joined by Terry Dean, and I don't know what side of my screen that she's on when you guys will be seeing this. But Terry Dean, another co-host of our show, and Terry's had over 30 years as a creative entrepreneur and just 30 years experience in marketing and sales and all the good stuff. And she's making a killing with these candles, which I don't know if we'll have time to talk about it today, but we're gonna get there. I know I'm putting you on the spot. And Terry, I'll turn it over to you to intro our wonderful guest today. We're so excited.
Well, I couldn't be more thrilled because today we have a really dear friend of mine that I respect, I love, and adore. Her name is Deanna Sauceda, and we have been friends for, oh my gosh, I think maybe 15 years or so.
About that much. Yep, it's been a while.
And it's fun. We're talking to Deanna today. She's in Texas. She's based out of Dallas these days, but we still stay in touch, and she's phenomenal when she comes in town. She tries to really create time and space for all of the people here who love and adore her in New Mexico. But that's kind of tough to do sometimes when you have as many people as you do. Deanna and I first met when she was anchoring the morning show for the TV station that I was working for. And we became fast friends. In fact, she rolled in a moment in my life where I thought the ground had just been ripped from underneath my feet. And I had a little dog at the time that was doing the Friday morning news, and Deanna was on set. And I think that's how we started talking. And boy, she rolled in with such powerful, beautiful, positive, happy energy. It really was a game changer and really helped me to shift and pivot into the life that I know and recognize today. And I feel more in my own skin than I ever have. And probably a lot of that has to do with just that pivotal moment in my life, and how you showed up for me, and just the beautiful things and people that you've delivered through you that are now so near and dear to me. So gosh, I mean, aside from all the personal stuff, you were an anchor for over 30 years. You're an amazing mother to two beautiful young men that my jaw drops every time I think about the cool things that both of them are doing. You are Mima to Zara.
My granddaughter.
Precious little granddaughter. And she looks just like you. She's a total, she's your mini me all the way. And I love how you have led as a mother with just like creativity and nurturing that piece of your kids, that I just go, man, I just wonder what it would be like for all of us if we all got to grow up that way, because we would be really able to nurture those parts of ourselves that I think sometimes are left unattended unless we're under the guidance of a parent who really knows how to nurture and bring that out.
Well, thank you. Well, everybody's invited over. We can have fun.
We can draw with you and Zara.
Come on over, everybody.
And then back to the other professional stuff too. Gosh, Deanna's done some amazing things. I know you've been a big sister like most of your life, very involved with big brothers, big sisters. Candace also was a big sister. So you guys also have that in common. And you have taken and made some radical changes since you left the world of anchoring the morning news. And so I'll kind of let you spearhead from here, but now you're flying for an international airline and helping to shuttle our men and women who are taking care of our country and troops from one part of the globe to the next. And it's been great for all of us who are connected with you on social media, because we get to live vicariously through you, whether you're in Dubai or wherever. And I thank you. I thank you for all of that. And I thank you for all the rich blessings you brought to my life.
Well, thank you. It's hard not to get verklempt here and start tearing up. So, I think that the reason we're chatting today, because I kid around and I say, gosh, I don't I don't dual, I seem to be the average Josephine, but I think what we're really talking about is transformation and reinvention of ourselves. And so, yes, I worked as an anchor, and then I went and worked for the national office of Big Brothers Big Sisters. And what I did for them was really recruit in difficult communities. So I did all their media relations, and then I did community engagement, trying to get folks from communities who usually don't mentor, but then those kids are the bulk of the kids needing mentoring. So Hispanics, the LGBTQ, all of that stuff, and Native American and Black and all of those communities, we really wanted to recruit from them. So did a lot of outreach for those organizations and those groups. Then I went on and decided I wanted to work in animal welfare. And I was the executive director of a high volume spay and neuter operation here in Dallas. Dallas has a very severe overpopulation problem of cats and dogs and pets. And so I did that, and that was just completely out of what I had done before. I hadn't been an executive director for a nonprofit. I had some experience in the vet world, but it was very rewarding, really rewarding. And then after that, I just decided, I want to do something totally different, and decided that I was going to move into the airline industry and become a flight attendant, and got a job with this organization that I'm working with now. And I'm what's called a purser. So I'm a flight management person on board every single flight. And it has been, yes, a wild, wild adventure.
Especially this last year, I'm sure.
It has been. It's been interesting to watch the pandemic through the eyes of the airline industry, where we really had no choice but to get out there and transport people, because the military kept going. Some of the oil companies still needed to be moving around. Believe it or not, Hollywood was still moving around. So our airplanes and our aircraft were chartered for things like that. So very unusual things. We did repatriation flights for folks who needed to get back into the United States during the early stages of the pandemic.
Interesting. You're just so brave. I just want to say one thing real quick too. It feels so strange because the whole time I've known you, you are so excellent when it comes to like meeting a new person or asking questions and interviewing. And it feels kind of odd to be the one asking you the questions. So it's really fun, but I know it's natural and easy for you. So it's fun to be in this seat instead of, the other seat for a second. But
it is. It's great fun. I'm loving it.
Cool. Go ahead, Candace. Did you have?
I have a few questions. The first is, with all of these transitions that you've made, did you know going in when you were going to make these transitions, or was it more like you woke up one day and it was like, cool, now I'm ready to do this? Like, what was leading you to do these different shifts, especially in career, and like what drove you to do all those things?
Well, I live according to a mantra, which is living from the rocking chair. And this means I imagine myself as an elder sitting in my rocking chair and looking back at my life and saying, well, gee, what are the check marks? What do I want to have there? What do I want to experience? What's my legacy? Mm-hmm. What do I want, what relationships do I want to have? And so these things that I've done have all been on my bucket list. Mm-hmm. These were things that I wanted to do because I feel like they make a difference. And that goes with the mantra, in Judaism, there is something, you touch or you change or you help one person, you change the world. Mm-hmm. So I grew up with that. And so everything that I do, it's, have I made a difference today? Is the world a little bit better? And it doesn't have to be huge, just a little bit better because of my actions, because of what I'm doing, because of the work I'm doing.
Right.
I can assure you, you do make a difference. And I remember you lived here and early in our friendship, we would be someplace having dinner or coffee or something. And you've always just been so gracious to people who came up to you and, oh, I know you from television or whatever. And I used to just sit back and go, you're just so kind to everyone, and you, whether it's people or animals, oh my God, your heart for animals is just crazy big. And so just to remind you, you definitely make a difference.
Well, thank you. Well, I think one of the things that's super important about reinventing is the concept of why we don't reinvent. And one of the big obstacles to that is fear. And you need a good team of cheerleaders, And you need experts around you for these reinventions. And Terry, you've been an amazing cheerleader for me. And something that we do to try to overcome fear may not be the greatest thing. We're afraid of looking stupid. We're afraid of being caught doing something wrong. We're afraid of, of somebody saying, you don't even know what you're doing, right? We're afraid of those things because we have these little gentle, just childlike egos inside that are very fearful of being caught doing something wrong. And we want to do it right. And so I always say to myself that be careful what you say to yourself because your cells are listening. Always. So what I mean by that is, oh, I goofed up on that, rather than saying, oh, how could I be such an idiot? Or what a dummy, that type of thing. It's, gosh, I did the best I could. Mm-hmm. It didn't turn out the way I wanted, but I know I learned, and what are the lessons? And really work hard at rephrasing how you talk to yourself, even in private or the tapes that are going on here, because your cells do listen and your vibration listens and others pick up on it. So really work hard on overcoming that self-talk, because I think it's very, very important.
You are so 1000% correct. In fact, I had a very similar conversation with someone before we got on today to talk about exactly that same thing, because I was doing some negative self-talk around, this, that, the other, something physical. And I was just reminded, it's like, oh my God. And so Candace and I talk about this too. Just show up, do your best. And you have to get that fear and move it off to the side. Otherwise, my God, we would never change or have the opportunity to reinvent. But especially too, I think, Deanna, as I've gotten older, there are parts of me that feel I better not do it now. And then it's just kind of like, there's this other part of me that's like, screw it. I'm older. I can do whatever I want. So doing all kinds of fun things. But yeah, that fear can really clobber us up. And I love what you're saying, our cells are always listening, and they are.
Right.
It's a very powerful message.
So what helped you, to do the reframe? Did you ever have a time when it was kind of that negative, very personal, like I'm an idiot, I don't know what I'm doing? And then if so, how did you reframe it? What was something that helped you go, oh, well, I just made a mistake, as opposed to really making it personal about your character?
Well, just a few minutes ago. So it's just like meditating. It's like running. It's like trying to master art. You've got to practice, right? So then you get into this little wrestling match with yourself, and you just say, well, wait a minute, I just cut myself down. Well, wait a minute, don't do that. But then, so you're going back and forth like this. So it's baby steps, just like anything else. And when it starts to feel more natural, it really is a blessing to yourself. Now some people might ask, well, don't you then come off kind of arrogant and, narcissistic or something? No, not really, because you're talking to yourself. Well, maybe you'll say it out loud, and that's okay too. But I don't know, does that answer your question?
It perfectly answers my question. And I'm so curious, did being an anchor really change how you viewed the world or how you viewed yourself, and having to talk to so many people or hear so many different stories? Like, how has that impacted you?
Working as an anchor, number one, again, it was something that I saw as a gift to the world, that God had worked through me to do this. And I really felt a great responsibility toward the work I was doing. I was a journalist, and it definitely changes you, because you're going to see people at the very lowest parts of their life. They've lost a child, or there's been some horrible abuse or a horrible accident. And you're also going to see them at the most incredible points in their life. And those are sacred moments. And so it has to be taken very seriously. So seeing the world and how other people are impacted, it's really humbling, right? Puts your world in perspective, and that happened every single day. So yeah, it really did make a difference. That's an excellent question. Thank you.
Good question.
Yeah, because I just think about how you've lived your life, which, yes, everyone has fear. And to see how you're like, yeah, but this is on my bucket list, and bucket list is stronger, greater than the fear in this moment. And it just makes me think, wow, I wonder if your experience of being humbled continually just really has not made it so scary or as scary if you had just stayed like and never pursued your mission, this mission that you have of making the world a better place, you know? And that's a really good question too. How do you overcome for these people who do feel like they have a calling or they have a bucket list and that fear is just a little bit loud today? What would you tell them to help them kind of like, here's a good first step, or here's a way that you can start moving through the fear? Is it the same as, you know, like as the negative self-talk, or is it something else for a person who their fear is just really, really great in this moment?
Well, we shared a story when we did kind of the pre-interview, and I'll go through that real quick, the 3 turns and jump. And because I think this is important, and it's been really important for me. And so when I was a little one, a kiddo, I was probably, I don't know, 10 years old. My mother was in school on weekends. And so we had free reign of the house. And my brother, very creative guy, younger than me, he decided one day that we should all jump off the roof. And so we took all the mattress out of the house, all the pads off the couches, every pillow in the house. And of course, the entire neighborhood shows up for this event, and everybody starts jumping off the roof, you know, and they're landing and they're laughing, they're having a good time. The kids are going off, the dogs are going off. But I was terrified. I was terrified. I still have issues around heights. And I was just, you know, this had been going on for 2.5 hours, you know, and they're doing flips and everything. And I just got so mad at myself and just the situation. I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I just did 3 quick turns and I jumped, and I didn't break anything. I made it through, and it was so exhilarating that going through the fear and working through it, it might be like fire walking or other things that people do to really break through. But that has been something that has helped me throughout my life. Now, I'm not saying everybody go out and jump off the roof to get through your fear. But what I am saying is sometimes you just have to step forward and start and be prepared. Do whatever studies you can, surround yourself with knowledgeable people, get mentors, have great cheerleaders like Terry, and then go ahead, do the 3 turns and jump and just do it. When I submitted my application to be the executive director of this organization here, this animal welfare organization, I was sitting there at the computer and just saying, executive director, do you really want to go for that? I mean, you've never been an executive director. And I just pushed the button and it all happened. So yeah, just go ahead and turn and jump. And I hope did that answer your question? Or flesh it out?
No,
absolutely.
That was answer.
Yeah, that was.
No, we could
sorry,
take
Terry, I cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Okay, no, I'll just jump in. No, that's a perfect answer. And I love that process of just, you know, take the 3 turns and then do it. And it's just like, take a breath and then do it. Do the preparation, find the people around you who love you and support you and want the best for you. We also need honesty in those people around us. And if I said, hey, I want to go do some open heart surgery tomorrow, I would trust that the 2 of you would say, Terry, that is really not your lane. So don't try to sneak into a hospital and grab a knife.
But I might give you, I might hand you giblets from a chicken and say, you can try this.
I would scream and run the other direction because I try to cut up the chicken. That freaks me out, right? Yeah. But, coaching, Candace, that's what Candace does, for a living too, is coaching and mentoring people and helping them get through the process. The one thing I think about is we don't ever generally look back and go, man, wish I had that old job again. Because
oh my God, no.
We're trying to transition and make a leap into something else. It's like, gee, I wish I could go back there and sit at that nasty old cubicle for 5 more seconds. Gee, I wish I had that old relationship. We don't do that. So we just have to really get in that place of trust that every step is going to take us to the next step. So even if it's only a temporary, like the executive director position, didn't last 10 years, it was perfect because it helped you pivot into that next amazing thing that you wanted to do. And that was to fly. And again, I think it's interesting. You have a fear of heights and now you're up in airplanes all day, every day. Just saying.
That's a good point. I hadn't even thought about that, but that's what's up.
Conquering another fear.
Yeah. And Deanna, what I also like about what you're saying, Deanna, is I think at some point you do have to jump. And it's like, so it's like not take turns and then just keep spinning, which I think is sometimes what happens to people is they do all this research, they have their cheerleaders and they're like, oh, but I'll do it tomorrow. Let me just wait a little bit more. Let me wait till it's better timing, as opposed to at some point you do really have to face the fear and go into it and just take the leap, which, you know, I think something that the pandemic is showing people is I see more people who are willing to jump that might not have been before. And Terry, I just love what you said. I just want to like co-sign on what Deanna is saying. You are a cheerleader number one, but you're the best kind of cheerleader because you're a cheerleader who knows a lot about things. So it's not just like, you can do it. It's like, you can do it and start here. Here's a person who might be able to help. Here's a person who knows more than I do. Here's this book. Like that's the, like, so useful and so helpful. And I like what you're saying. And it does blow my mind that Deanna, you are in the air. Like Terry, good observation. Like that was amazing. Like, yeah, you just bringing it full circle. Like I love that. But I have not regretted, even on my worst days when I left, because I used to work for the federal government and I would dream about not having to have a 9 to 5, but I never thought that I was smart enough. I never thought that I was capable enough ever. And I was very strong people pleasing. So, you know, what would I do if there wasn't someone to tell me what to do, you know? And I have, even in my worst entrepreneurial days ever in my life, I've never thought, man, I still wish I was in that desk and like in the cold, like air conditioned office, doing work I don't really want to do. Like never had that thought, never. Mm-hmm. And as a psychic medium, that's one of the things when people ask, you know, what do people on the other side? That's the only, I don't know that it's necessarily a regret, but something that they wish they had done differently is they do wish they had done the things that were on their bucket list, but they held back for fear, which is what Deanna, you talked about earlier, fear of looking dumb, fear of looking stupid. What are people going to say? What if no one likes me? What if I can't do it? And so it's like when they reach the other side, it's more like, oh, I could have done it. It's like there's all the, without the human fear that goes with it, it's like, oh, there was a way for me. There was a path for me. I just was too afraid to even begin. So I really love your whole deal and what you're talking about. I think it's very useful and valuable. 3 turns and jump. That's phenomenal. I'm going to take some notes on that. And I hope that's the title of your book, which I told you, it's like, come out with a book and that'll be the title of your book.
Right.
Yeah. Well, right now I ain't got time for that. Because
because I'm making an amazing daughter, being a wonderful Mima, and
yeah,
yeah,
I'm in school and all of that. So, so I have a question for Candace, and that is, so when you're working with people and you're talking to them about fear, what are some of the techniques or things that you talk to them about, or what do you recommend?
First, I have them trust it. So rather than trying to eradicate it or move around it or move by it, it's like, look, you're afraid. Let's talk about that. Let's listen to the human. Because a lot of times, even with the negative self-talk, so many people will be like, no, screw the ego. I want to like kill my ego. I want to move beyond it. And it's like, but your ego's pretty much been the thing keeping you safe. It's been doing like kind of a shitty job as you get older, but ego stuff happens when we're kids. And the ego's like, oh, I've learned a lesson here. And usually it's something that isn't really a lesson, but it doesn't know any better. So it's trying to keep us all safe. The fear is ultimately trying to keep us safe. So it's to change our reframe around it with not always a battle or like a very masculine, like got to beat it down and move beyond it, as opposed to, oh, okay, cool. What is the fear showing me? Because sometimes the fear can lead into, this is a step that you're missing that you do have to consider or look at. It's like, if you give it enough space to go, okay, what's really coming up? And then you reach a point where it is just fear. And then it's like, okay, cool. And it just depends on what kind of an issue it is. So people will tend to go into the loops of the continual turn. And then it's like, all right, so let's just take this little baby step here and see what happens. And something that helps people is for them to know themselves. So like, if you know, oh, you react this way and you're acting this way because you're triggered, you can kind of know, oh, I'm just freaking out right now. and you can hear your fear and you can hear your truth of, but I really feel called to do this work. Like my human doesn't like this, but my spirit is guiding me to do this thing. And when you can get to the place where you can listen to both, then the battle isn't as intense and it makes it a little bit easier where you're like, yeah, I'm scared shitless, but this deeper knowing within me says it's going to be okay. And as you were saying earlier, that's not something that you can just do intellectually or happens overnight. It's like through a period of time of getting to know ourselves and really listening without the self-judgment, which is the hardest thing for people because they always feel wrong or bad. Like I shouldn't be afraid. And then it's like, it goes back into that loop that you were talking about earlier, where it's like, I'm an idiot. This isn't even that bad. It's not that big a deal. Why can't I do whatever? And that kind of thinking actually pushes you deeper into the fear, but you're blind to it, as opposed to recognizing like, yeah, I'm scared, I'm terrified, and letting go of the story of why. It's like, let go of the story and just actually listen to what is your human afraid of really in this moment. So that's what I do when I work with folks. And then depending on what it is and where it comes from, we might be able to clear it, but sometimes it's just sort of like, okay, you're afraid and you're going to have to do it a little bit scared, you know, you can do it. And I'm here, I'm your cheerleader
Right.
for moments like that. Yeah.
Well, I love what you say and what you've shared, because I just think that's so important, and getting into the very nitty gritty of fear and recognizing the seed is just so crucial. This comes up a lot in relationships, right? And so knowing about, okay, so in my life, I had a father who, abandoned us and yada, 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 alcoholic, that type of thing. And I don't want to say that that's something minor. It's not. It took a lot of therapy. But it is something front and center. So when I act irrationally,
right,
or a fear starts to bubble up, then I can say, no, wait a minute. Remember, this is where it comes from, and you deserve better, and you can overcome this and move through it. And it's almost kind of spitting in the face of that situation and saying, see, this is not going to hold me back. It's not going to hold me back, and actually use it as energy to move you forward, to say, look at me. I can do it. I can do it.
Getting chills on that. And I love what you just said, that seed, because they are the seeds that are like the root causes of these problems. And when you see the seed, and like, seriously, when you're willing to look at it, it's like the power that it has minimizes, it diminishes, and then allows you to go, okay, cool. I can handle everything that's going on in my life. Like, this is gold. You're going to have to come back, Deanna. It's like, I'm hooked. I'm sold.
Like every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm also getting like this vision of having, because Deanna's so powerful, and we've had so many amazing people that have joined us, maybe doing like 6 of us and maybe grabbing a topic and just, doing like a panel discussion, here and there. I think that would be, even if something timely or, just something that, we all have the same thing. Fear is just universal. Anyone
Right.
that tells you they're not afraid of something, they're just big liars.
Right.
It's just
Right.
we all manage it differently. And that's one thing I love about both of you is you are in conversation. I feel so lucky I have like all these great, strong women around me that can say, Terry, not rational. There's a root, there's something here at the root that might be happening that you probably need to examine. And then of course I'll resist and I'll kick and scream and tell you you're crazy. And then about 5 minutes later, oh, you're exactly right. I think that's what's going on,
Right.
But it's fascinating. And I think if we all paid a little closer attention, we could all just, have more growth spurts.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's important to understand that some of these seeds actually require professional guidance, and because friends and others who have had some really deep trauma in their lives, it's not 3 turns and jump. It's getting a team with you and really having the courage to work through those things, because it takes time, and it's probably the scariest thing that an individual can go through. And so I don't want to make light of it, because I think there are a lot of people who have real trauma that they need others to help them, but they do need professionals to help them too. And don't be afraid to ask for that help.
Oh.
I've paid for a bunch. And just start the path with that, because freeing yourself up from that stuff is really opening, and gosh, what you can accomplish when you shed or come to grips with it. I'm not even going to say shed, just come to grips with it and understand its place in your life, and that you can make decisions with that at your side or in your past, and move forward and move forward. And you can do amazing things and let it empower you.
Right. And I think about, just like you said, Deanna, people have gone through deep, deep traumas, and sometimes it's hard to even talk about it, or you can't find the words. So don't be afraid to explore all sorts of modalities for healing. Like the EFT has been really helpful for me, because there are just things I can't say. I didn't even realize I couldn't say them, but it's there. My cells know exactly what's going on. My body has that, those points where it's locked things in and remembered things. But even like through some tapping exercises and working with John D, who was on a couple of weeks ago, it's just like, oh, okay, that's gone now. That thing was able to move through that thing. And it's just really important to get that help and ask the questions. No shame, and reach out to someone.
Right. I love that. And it's really interesting how a lot of people will come to a psychic, for a psychic reading. And it's like, oh, first step is get a therapist, and then we'll talk, and that's very real. There's no shame around that, but it's like, this reading is not going to help you the way that you think it should, but people don't know any better. So they start somewhere, and I think that's important. If you are typically a cheerleader for your friends or the rock for your friends, to know when, like, oh, this is out of my depth, and maybe get this other type of help, not because I don't love and care about you, but because they're better able and better suited to help you at where you're at right now. Yeah. So yeah, Deanna, I do have one more question. I get this question a lot. And how do you find friends in your cheerleaders? Like, how do you do that? Because I'm meeting a lot of people who really feel alone, like they've been doing a whole lot of the work, right? And have kind of let go of some of the toxic situations that they're in. And as an adult, it's not like you can go make friends at the playground. I guess maybe if you have kids and stuff, you could do that totally. But still, how do you find the people that can be supportive of you? What are some of your best tools to help people do that and build community?
I think I think this is a function of age too. Like you said, we can't just go to the playground. And, being completely transparent here, finding friends here in Dallas has really been hard for me, and really, really hard. And I depend on my Albuquerque friends so heavily. I'm very busy, so I have friends who are out flying with me. And some of them we're kind of close, but it's not those really deep relationships that I've developed in Albuquerque, and I think those are a function of timing. So I think if you had a guest on, I did hear one on a podcast, and I don't remember her name, but she has done work about how do adults make friends and deep relationships and that type of thing. So I'm going to have to say on this one, I could use some help.
Okay. Bam. Yeah. Yeah.
You want some feedback from me? Because I actually, not long ago, I think there was someone that I was introduced to through a mutual friend, and she's super cute, really sweet. We have several mutual friends, and I ran into her at the co-op over on Rio Grande, and I was just like, I just really like you. Can we just play sometime? And we just both cracked up. It's like, she lives in the North Valley. It's like, we'll go take a walk together, right? So a recommendation that I might offer, and I think I shared this when Candace and I talked in our last show, but show up in places where you're doing things that you enjoy. If you love riding bikes, maybe you get on your bike and you ride and you find coffee shops or places that are bike friendly. And, by nature, you're probably going to be around people who like similar things that you like, and kind of start there. Deanna, you had a book club that you started here, in Albuquerque. So it was people who liked books. Rita and I, of course, brought our People magazines to the the book things. We had our own little fun. But, if you're a reader, go to the library, go to bookstores, just go do things that you enjoy doing. And I think like-minded people will show up and be in that environment. And that might be some easier step in, for conversation, and just see what unfolds. Just stay open, just
right.
stay open.
Well, I think it
Yes.
takes the 3 turns and jump concept with friendships as well.
Totally.
Because the same fear factors. Oh, they're not going to like me. They're going to think I'm weird. They're going to, whatever. I might smell bad to them. I don't know, but it's just, so it's overcoming that fear again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think another thing that's happened, because I had such a social life.
Yeah.
I've actually really started to enjoy being by myself. Okay. And I don't know if I've become a hermit. I don't think I have, but at the same time, I kind of like hanging out with me. We have a great time, and I have a lot of things that I'm trying to do. So that could be part of it too, because I really haven't throughout my life spent a lot of time with me. Mm-hmm. And I've kind of started to like that and learn a lot about what makes me tick and what I really like to do with my time. Another quick thing is too, our most precious commodity is our time.
Exactly.
It is absolutely the most precious commodity we have. And we have to make choices about how we want to spend that. Mm-hmm. And so maybe I've gotten to a point also that I just want to go out and garden, and I have gardening friends and everything, but that's rejuvenates me, that builds me, that makes a difference, all of that. So there could be a lot of elements involved in that, but I love the question. I love the challenge of what you have both been talking about in terms of friends.
Right on. I love what you said, though. It's like it's just connecting so many dots, and it's spinning the wheels in a great way. Thank you so much for being our guest today. This was awesome. And I'm serious. We'll have to have you back, because it's like we didn't even scratch the surface of like what you've been doing and all that It's like, this is really special. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the invite. I was so excited and at the same time, fearful. And just really, I've been honored. It's an honor to be with you too. And I think what you're doing is really making a difference for people, and just want a lot of people to keep tuning in, because you have great guests and you both do a great job.
Well, right on.
Thank you. Thank you. Love you.
Love you both.
Okay.
Love you too.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Thank you for watching 123 Conversations. Just really quickly, Terry, how can people find you if they want more information?
LinkedIn is a great place. Terry, Terri, last name Dean, Dean. And Candace, what about you?
Candace Thomas Intuitive, Candace Intuitive on Instagram. But Deanna, how do people get a hold of you? Because I just get this feeling people are going to want to talk to you or reach out to you. Even after you said you're enjoying your alone time and hermit phase of life.
My hermitage.
But yeah, your hermitage. What's a great way for people to connect with you if they have more questions or just want to get to know you better?
Oh, well, they're welcome to, I would say, through Facebook and Messenger would be your best bet. I'm on all the other things, but I don't spend a lot of time on them because, again, I just don't want to spend too much time on my phone and social media. So that's how you do that. And love to talk to people, and I'm not an expert in these areas. I just like to talk to people and share what I've learned in my 63 years. So, so I just thank you all so much. This has been so fun. I feel so energized that I can clean my entire house.
And then
wow.
I'm gonna clean this entire house too. When you're done.
I'm going to think about the two of you cleaning your entire houses, as I do not do that. So thank you for all those watching. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. Please be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel to hear more amazing interviews. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
1